late 19th century America. On the edge of a tiny mining town in the Appalachians stood a house no one dared approach. Its windows stared into the forest, as if waiting for something. The old folks said that long ago a settlement once stood here, but one day everyone vanished without a trace, leaving only campfires that burned on, even without people. In the town lived a young woman named Elizabeth. Her father was a miner. Her mother had died when she was a child. Elizabeth often visited the library and loved reading about native legends. She knew the stories of the spirits of the mountains, who would claim anyone digging too deep into the earth. But to her, those were just tales. One night, her father didn't return from the mine. The other miners said the tunnel had collapsed and that his body could not be found. But Elizabeth felt in her bones that he was alive, trapped in that very place the elders whispered about. That same night, she dreamt of the house at the edge of the forest. A dim light flickered in the window, and she saw a shadow behind the glass, her father's silhouette. The next day, Elizabeth made up her mind. Shrouded in fog, she walked toward the abandoned house. The wind tore leaves from the trees, and each step echoed as if the ground beneath her were hollow. The door creaked open. Inside, the air smelled of damp decay, and the walls were covered in strange symbols reminiscent of native carvings. On the floor lay her father's miner's helmet, covered with fresh dirt. Then she heard a whisper. It wasn't coming from a living mouth, but from the very foundation of the house. It called her name, and in it were dozens of voices at once. Men, women, children, the entire vanished settlement speaking to her. Up in the attic, she found an old map of the mine. A tunnel was marked that didn't exist on any official plan. A staircase from the basement led straight down. Elizabeth descended. Her flashlight barely cut through the darkness as the corridor stretched deeper and deeper. Time seemed to stop. Clocks didn't tick. Her breath caught in her throat. Suddenly, she heard heavy footsteps behind her. She turned. Nothing. But the ground shook, and from the walls emerged human-shaped shadows. Their faces were twisted, eyes hollow. These were the souls of those the mine had swallowed. At the tunnel's end, Elizabeth discovered a vast underground lake. Its water glowed with a dim red light. On the shore stood her father, but his face was ghostly pale. "Elizabeth," he said, his voice layered with dozens of other voices. "I found what the mountains were hiding. But now I'm part of it, and so will you be." Shadows rose from the water, stretching into human forms, but made entirely of darkness. They surrounded her, every step backward echoing like a scream inside her skull. Her father raised a hand, his eyes glowing red. "To escape, you must give them your name. Otherwise, they'll take you." Elizabeth realized in that moment the spirits would not tolerate the nameless. Those who spoke their name became part of them. But to stay silent meant they would tear you apart in complete silence. She closed her eyes, biting her lips until they bled, and didn't utter a word. The whispering intensified, the air thickened, and the shadows nearly touched her face. And then, light. She awoke outside the house, holding her flashlight, but her father remained below. That night, the house burned down on its own. The townsfolk said it was the final warning. No one ever dug too deep again. Elizabeth never spoke of that night again, no matter how they asked.